Welcome back to another episode of Stationeers, and as you can see, our hydro bay is still filling. It's fine, it's around 13 kPa in there. That's no problem. In fact, let's just go and check what that actually is up to at the moment. I think that's what it was up to. Let's have a look. Pop inside. And let's cancel the pressurization. Yeah, so here we are. And the sun did seem to warm it a little bit as it came over. It's now obviously gone down, but not as much as I might have thought. So that may just be pressure dependent. What I thought I'd do is just get a bit more pressure in, then we can look at the look at what effect the sunlight has. We may not even need the heater. It may be that we just need something to cool it with. So I think just because of the way other things are hooked up, this is probably going to be the sort of filtration side of things. It's going to go the other way. It's going to point outwards, and we're going to collect oxygen up there once we get started. While it's pressurizing, because we may need to do this a few times this episode, let's just put down some pipe work. We're going to want water, and it's going to need to come from outside. So if we just pop down a few pieces of pipe, let's say there for now. And then I also want my hydroponics bays. Now, I think, do they go onto the pipe or do they go attached to the pipe? Attached to the pipe. Okay, so we'll just remove the existing ones then. That won't be a problem. Yeah, we're going to want to start them around. Oops, let's put you away. Start them around here because that's where the wall is there, and we'll obviously get sunlight up to this point. So going that direction. Okay, so let's just put one down. Yeah, first hydroponics bay. Okay, well, tray. In a hydroponics bay, we got our tray. Okay, so I'll then be stacking more of them, next to each other as I get more iron. I think it's 10 iron each for each of those. So we will need lots of iron. And we're up to 15 kPa. Now, for this, it's going to need sunlight. Well, we've fixed that. We're going to need carbon dioxide, and technically we've fixed that as well. We've got plenty of carbon dioxide in here. We're also going to want to filter out all the other stuff we don't want, and that may be it may be worthwhile just keeping this as a pure CO2 bay, unless the plants actually need oxygen as well. I don't think they do. Oh, I've just run out of batteries. I don't think they do, but just in case, it may be worthwhile just filtering all the rest out. And it's up to 16 kPa now. Good. So every time we pressurize, it's going to go inwards. Someone did actually mention, just instead of putting this to a passive vent on the inside, just putting it into a canister. It's sort of, sort of, because I was saying every time you pressurize this airlock, it's going to pressurize the interior a little bit more. Except if you do that, it's going to start depressurizing the interior, because every time you open the interior door, it lets some of the atmosphere out, 1 block's worth. And then that, of course, will be ejected into the canister. So you'll pressurize the canister, but you'll be constantly depressurizing the main room. So unfortunately that doesn't quite work, but it's fine because we'll have some kind of overflow just to guard against overpressure in there, because I think these windows are only going to last so long. All right, so where we're going to go from here? We've got this pressurized a little bit. We're going to need a filtration system. Okay, so let's just pop up here for a second. I've got a power connector right here that I can bring across. Turn our jetpack off, and we can, let's see, we don't want the air conditioner, we've got the filtration unit. So here we are, we have the filtration unit. It has 2 spaces. We may only use one, and I may need to correctly hook this up then if we're going to do that, but for now, let's put it right there. Okay, so we've got 2 spaces for gas filters. Inside there we've got O2, N2, and X. So what I never remember here is what do you put in the filters come out the waste, or does it come out somewhere else? So I think I'm just going to double check that before I do anything more extensive, just to make sure I've got everything hooked up correctly. We can, I guess, test it without even hooking it up to that inside system, just by doing something like this. And then, do we have a spare active vent? I don't think we do, but we may as well make one if we don't already have one anyway. And do I have enough stuff left to make it an active vent? Yep, we do. But I'm almost out of iron. Not quite, but close enough. I'll put you away. So I'm obviously going to have to go mining fairly soon. And let's just... I think that's the correct settings. And turn off my jetpack again. Grab some... Oh, yeah. I'm almost out of you. That's only copper though. I think I've got enough spare copper for that to not be a problem. This needs to be a junction, however. Okay, and then we just need to dump everything out of here to grab some copper. Not much of it, mind you, but it'll do. And I'll grab some cable coil. That won't take terribly long at all. I may have to cut. I'm going to have to cut that cable to the top. This will do as a test. Stop you. You in my backpack, and then let's just cut the cables to this. Up we go. And now three-way corner this, I think. There we go. We just need to connect this up as well. Oh, I'm going to need more cable, aren't I? Never mind. I don't think I'm going to need the data ports, so I will leave the data ports alone. And we will just go junction this. Yeah, of course I'm too short. Build two more, please. I've got enough for that at least. 1, 2. And the sun's coming up, so I can turn my light off before I start needing to recharge. Alright, so I have a... I'm going to need some filters, aren't I? I have a water filter somewhere, but that's not going to help me too much. That's the water filter, but I'll take it with me because that is going to be useful this episode. Because we're going to need to filter out water, probably with a setup like that. Yeah, I'll talk about why in a little while. Let me just see if I can get... we want an O2 filter. I know where there is one, because we got... In fact, let's give that a go, because then we can find out... Yeah, I can just grab it from over here. Just make sure which way around this goes. Whoops. Grab my oxygen filter. There we go. Right, now, once I get a new battery, I should be able to figure out which way around that output is. There we go. Turn it on. Alright, do we have anything in the pipes at the moment? No, we don't. Pipe network, good. So if we then turn you on. Other direction. Alright, there we go. So this will have processed it then. So whatever I put in this comes out of the output. Fine. So everything else will come out this direction. So we can technically use this to essentially get pure oxygen. Or we can use this to filter out everything but... so what are we going to get rid of? If we get rid of N2 and X out of this, what we need to do is put CO2 and O2 filters in here. N2 and X would go out that way. Then CO2 and O2, we could probably just put another one of these units in and just do an O2. Or just well, the more I want to do this, the more I want to just set up the setup I did last season, which is to chain these and just have one in each one, which separates all the gases. But in the interest of doing a bit of budget work to start off with, and I'll need to go inside and turn off that active vent, in the interest of keeping things quite budget until we get sustainable food, I think it might be worthwhile just try and get it the minimum necessary to... oh, I have already turned it off. Oh. Was that because I disconnected the power? Or did I actually remember to go and turn it off? Okay, never mind. That's nice and safe on the inside. I'm glad to see the airlock is going all the way down to 0 before opening. Even though it's at 2 kPa on the outside. Yep, that's still pressurizing it. Let's turn you off. Is it the atmospheric unit I can hear? Yeah, I almost need some kind of muffling block to take care of this. Right, so let's take a look at this again. Fine, this is O2 only, so what I could do is quite easily put a CO2 filter in here and then just feed this back this way and in. And then we could do something like, we may need a separate cooling loop, but what that would let us do is if we had, let's say, an active vent pulling all the atmosphere out of there, we could clean the atmosphere by putting it through one of these loops. Okay, that seems relatively straightforward. Alternatively, and interestingly, we could just run this with a CO2 filter and depressurize the bay, and it would only pressurize it with CO2. However, as soon as plants start growing, they would start adding O2 to the mix. So I think we want to go with something that just cleans the bay of the gases we want. And as the sun's coming up, I'm going to go and do some other stuff. Let's go and grab, I want to say this furnace. Let's see what, can I just deconstruct you? Yes, I can. Good. I'm going to reuse this for the moment. I can obviously make more steel whenever I need to, but I'm going to reuse this to see if I can fill up a water tank. Well, that blue portable tank there with just water. So to do that, I sort of want, first of all, I want some kind of active vent. I'm going to grab the one from up here. Yeah, give me you. And I can put it on the floor somewhere. Doesn't much matter. This is going to be just used as a pump, essentially. I don't have to do anything specific for it. So let's put you there, and we'll just feed off this line whenever we finish construction. And then I'm going to want the furnace somewhere, aren't I? So let's, first of all, just connect up to this. Rotate you. And our furnace will be presumably going up from here, so let's just rotate that. And have something along those lines, I think. Yeah, okay. So then we can put the furnace in place. Oh, where did I put you? Did I drop it? Yeah, I did. There we go. Furnace. So I have to rotate this, I think. Is that the right way around? Yes, I think. No, it's not. It's rotated in the wrong direction. There we go. That's better. And we're going to rotate it to the back. There we go. So we're just going to line up that up with this. I'm not going to worry about the input at all. No, that's too close, isn't it? Yeah. One further forward. Is that? Yeah, that'll do. You know, sometimes this game, we will leave it here. It will be fine. It lines up with this. Yeah, there we go. So what are we going to do this for? One is I'm going to need a valve. So let's go and grab that valve from over here. I think I've got another one as well. So we're going to need both of them. Where is the other valve? It's going to be in one of these crates, isn't it? I shouldn't have very much left. Let's just drag this out of it a little bit. There we go. Yep, we'll get both valves. And we're going to put one to the active vent, and the other one is going to go to the tank connector. So if I just put one on here and rotate it, like that, That should act as a vacuum drawer, essentially, for the pipe to keep this entirely in vacuum. And then, well, hopefully that won't have any backflow. Well, let's give it a go and let's see what happens when we do actually do this. So we're going to want the tank connector over here somewhere. Hopefully this will work. It'd be nice if it did. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. And then we'll just get some pipe work sorted. There we go. Where's our other vent gone? Let's grab that. And put the same thing here. Rotate you around. There we go. And then I'll probably be one short of pipe work, but that's fine. We can just put 2 junctions in. Is there a T junction? Or a regular junction? No, I want a T if possible. Yeah, there we go. And straight, and I'm going to be 1 short. That's okay, we've got some more over here. Alright, there we go. Let's give this a test then on 1 corner. And let's drop that for now. Grab this portable tank. Let's see if we can connect this up. Don't fall over. Don't fall over. Good. There we go. Okay, so what should happen? If I set this, I'm going to need to reconnect this, aren't I, with some power? Let's just... We're going to need to make... I'm going to need more copper. I think that's what I'm actually short of. Yeah, 1, 2, and then probably 4, something like that. Cable coil? Does this have any copper in it? No, it doesn't. Down to 5 copper. That's enough for 10 cable coil. Let's just use it up because I need to go mining anyway. So 1, 2, 3, and probably 4. There we go. And 1, 2. Let's just pull you up. There we go. And one thing to remember, you may have seen this, you may not have, in case you didn't see it, I forgot to reconnect that cable up right there, which stopped my solar tracking from working. Hopefully now that's going to work just fine. However, I am going to need more copper anyway, because I don't think those couple of solar panels are going to cut it as soon as we turn on our atmospherics unit up there. So that should be enough to... What's the pressure like in here? Okay, you're 0, so you're not going to have any kind of back draw. What I want to make sure of is that just doesn't happen. We can always put it through a filtering system if it does. You know, we can use that system to pull everything but water out of this tank. But ideally, I'd like to keep this fairly pure as far as what's in it. So if I just grab you for a second. Okay, you have nothing in you. You have nothing in you, neither do you. And neither do you. Good. All right. And this, bear in mind, this active vent may not be needed, but just in case it is, I have it here, and we want to make sure that's set. It's going to be inward or outward. I never quite remember. We'll soon find out in a second. Let's just turn you on. Why don't you have any power? I've forgotten to hook you up correctly. It's rotated the wrong way. No wonder it doesn't work. Let's make sure that's facing the right way. There we go. Much better. Okay. So let's just make sure. Turn it on. Good. So that's drawing out. So if I just reverse that for a second, Yep, it's getting atmosphere, so we don't want that. We want it to go this way. Alright, and that should be a vacuum if we need it. Otherwise, we can just leave that off for now. And then we can just put in our rather valuable, rather rare ore. And by ore, I of course mean water. I went and got some. Put you in there. And there goes the pressure. And if we have a look on the back side of things, we've got H2O and N2, which is what's given off by ice. So we may need a filtering system here. And I ideally like just to have H2O in here. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to need to change the filtering around a little bit and rework the pipes. Alternatively, for now, I guess we could leave both of them in there, but I'd ideally like to have a pure tank of H2O. Okay, here we go. So we got the pipe network, we got H2O, N2O, and we don't even need this active vent at all now. We're just actually going to need some cabling to go to this unit, so that's going to be straightforward once we get some copper. But we've got a valve which we can then control just in case this thing is too hot or we want to control it in other ways. But normally I just have that open now that we don't need the vacuum side anyway. And that'll go into our sort of filtration unit, which has a water filter in it. Let's just change that. See, water filter, which means that water will go this way on the output and everything else will go this way. And this is nitrogen in this case. So let me just grab some something to power this with. How much cable coil have we got left? 6. That's probably going to be 1 short. It's just my way of doing things that will just cause that to happen. 3, 2, 1. Well, 3 or 4. Let me go and grab some more copper. Okay, with our copper got, and one commenter from last episode did mention the reason why this wasn't working, this gas capture to this tank at the back, was I was putting copper through the arc furnace. So I did correctly put some iron through it, and it does actually work just fine. So you close the door off, you set the vent, and as you can see here, we're getting lots of X. Basically, is what gets released by iron when you actually put that through the system. So yeah, that is actually working. It's just that copper doesn't actually output anything, it seems. So that will work perfectly well for your gas capture needs, at least initially. And if you're going to use arc furnaces, that is. And of course, you can put more arc furnaces in a bigger room and just have I don't know, passive vent on the wall and use volume pumps or something along those lines to draw a lot of emissions out. And you may want to put it through a cooling loop, because I'm not doing a lot at the moment. This is actually warmer than you might otherwise expect. If you have a look in here, it's minus 22 in there. Yes, the pressure is much higher as well. What I don't know is, because the gases themselves coming off the furnace when it does are quite high in temperature, I just want to be careful about that. I don't know whether that portable tank does have a temperature limit, but ideally I wouldn't want a tank with hundreds of degrees Celsius. How far are you off? 2, 1, and then that should be done. And I may as well just put the other copper through once this finishes. There we go. And now we can make enough cable coil to this for this setup to go. Batteries again are depleting just because it was nighttime and I was using stuff. So hopefully this will keep it in power for me to just finish this off. And that requires me to just change over my belts again. There we go. Grab my cutters. And just one more. Alright, there we go. That should be powered up, or available to be powered up. Let's turn you on. Okay, and grab our backpack. Network analyzer, atmosphere analyzer. Pipe network, this has got obviously lots of in it because it's got passive, but that shouldn't allow it to be backflowed into the rest of the system, hopefully. Let's just set this bit of pipe. No. And we're still okay. So if we undo this valve now, what we should see here is just water. And that's exactly what we're getting. So we're now getting pure water, and nitrogen's being released into the atmosphere. We don't particularly need it. 46 moles, 52 moles, etc. Pretty good. And that should draw this all the way back to vacuum. Yeah, you can see it's dropping there quite substantially. And that should drop to 0, and so too should the N2. And then this acts as essentially a vacuum draw all of its own, just because when it's on, it's pushing to both sides. So we really don't need that bit now, but that is fine. Our pressure is dropping. And how much have we got? 200 moles. Okay, so once this is finished, and I won't do this on camera, but once this is finished, we can move this tank connector and this tank over to the outside of here. It shouldn't really much matter. It can't really refreeze in those tanks. I'll put a few more frames in here, and then put our tank connector here, lead a pipe on the inside, then we'll have both water now, an atmosphere, and sunlight. Last thing we'll need, and that's going to be next episode, is the cooling system. So once again, if you haven't had a chance to put any feedback on the cooling system, feel free to leave it in the comments. I probably will go for some kind of passive sets of radiators that saves on power. Let's just turn the light off. It saves on power, and we'll see how well it copes with the sunlight warming the inside. I'm going to bring this up once I've put that water in. I'm going to bring this up to actual temperature. I'm going to probably put some pipes through into the room just so that I can access this whole thing without depressurizing it, just in case we need them for the future. Okay, hope you've enjoyed this episode. We've got just an introduction to filtration going. We've got a way to get pure water into a tank, which is what we're going to be using for our hydroponics. The gas catcher system is working just fine. This one, yeah, not terribly good. That's only a small amount. Depends how much oxygen our plants produce from in here as to whether we'll have to do that. The alternative, if we don't or can't get enough oxygen from the plants, is that we can just put oxides through a furnace just like this, swap out this with oxygen, and then we probably want another tank connector here actually, so we can have some sort of way for me to hook multiple things up. I don't want to necessarily waste all the products. I just don't need N2 in this case. But yeah, we can use this as a basis to fill up tanks from oxides, and that will certainly get us oxygen if we need it. In fact, I can just put that on this tank connector, and we should be good to go, really. How far are you from being done? 383. This pipe is empty now, and so is the furnace, so we can shut this down. Hopefully there won't be any backflow. There is there. If I turn this on, does it get pushed all the way out? No, so there's no internal valve on this side of things, but that's perfectly fine. It's only one pipe segment. Yeah, so that is fine. We can turn it off, save the power, and we have our furnace ready to go again. Although I'll need to rehook. Well, I may actually just keep this, but then we could just hook this up back to a passive vent out here somewhere, or out there somewhere, and that will let us continue to use it for steel, because when we will have this valve to shut it off right here, and then nothing will get through into our filtration system like incredibly hot gas from steel, and we still have it available if we want it for other purposes. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, and of course we will see you next episode for the final ones to actually get hydroponics up and running, hopefully with a nice atmosphere. Now, I've only used one hunger bar so far. If you have hunger up full, then you may be much further down on hunger than I am. I have got a few left, I think. One there. Yeah. And I think I've got some more supplies. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got enough left to get my plant growing started. Alright. As always, guys, thanks for watching.